Ship sizes are increasing with a whole host of balance changes which are going to significantly impact the meta and what is good on ships. And the economy is being completely reworked because we've broken the game too much this year. There's a whole bunch of patch notes and rationale behind these changes. Let's get into it. First, let's look at the 4.2.4 changes, which is currently in certification and could currently be live. Then we're going to get on the huge changes that are coming with 4.3. First up, a couple of balance changes. You're going to be getting plus 25% volcanic world habitability for machine climate preference traits to match their minimum habitability value on volcanic worlds. I believe this is a buff for infernal machines. Then they've replaced food output for some specimens with 1/4 as alloy output bonus for infernals. Maybe that's meant to be an of, but basically food output becomes alloys for infernals. And Unity and research rewards have been nerfed for several of the events in the new Origins, Red Giant and Cosmic Dawn Origins. I didn't think it was that strong, but sure. There's then a bunch of bug fixes like to the payback origin for starting buildings. Food upkeep's been replaced from hive mind Unity boosting buildings with extra alloy upkeep. Some void worm changes when you have them. Machine Empire catalytic processing and alloy producing jobs are fixed. Some combat fixes. A little bit of performance and stability. But that's not all. This is the big one, the 4.3 Cetus open beta. This open beta will be very compartmentalized, so they're going to have the options to pick and choose different aspects to bring to the final release. This is because they're not sure if all changes for 4.3 is going to be good for the game, and they want to test it, which I really like the open beta approach they've been doing the last couple of years. This first content drop of the Cetus open beta includes only a partial of economic and naval change branches on top of a 4.2 base. If all goes according to plan, 4.3 will be released to the live branches during the first quarter of 2026. But if we deem that it's not ready yet, we're planning to keep it in beta for longer. It's also possible that we'll choose to release some elements in 4.3, then continue with a 4.4 open beta with the things that still need more work or polish. They've learned from last year with the 4.0 huge changes that it's not set in stone with these changes. They're willing to adapt and also postpone. That's a win in my book. The economic changes in 4.0 brought a high level of customization to planets and introduced ways of optimizing your production that did not exist before, leading to much stronger overall results. Coupled with the power creep of the Ascension's expansions, Empires were able to create fleets that dwarf the endgame fleets of 3.x by the mid-game. Yes, power creep's gone crazy. 4.0's made that worse. I do like what you can do with the planets, but yeah, the numbers are insane. The changes in this beta seek to ratchet that power level back significantly, restricting most sources of non-linear economic growth in order to bring us to a more balanced level overall. That's been the main issue. A lot of the scaling is exponential. So for example, per 100 pops, do X, Y, Z. So if you can get your pop scaling, then everything else scales, which then scales that. Yeah, it goes crazy. Our path is not yet complete. So I'm sure you'll be able to find some civics, traits, or other sources that we haven't gotten to yet. That's okay. But expect that when we're done, we'll have adjusted those as well. So if you find those, make sure to tell them. Some other changes are still in a work in progress state, waiting for some code support to make them work in the way we want them to. Helping us find things that we have missed or display excessive synergies and highlighting them will be very helpful. Internally, we nicknamed this branch the Reckoning before it got its constellation name. Since the 50 weeks of being overpowered were coming to an end. Yeah, it's been fun making all those OP builds, but I do agree it needs to be heavily reduced. So make sure to actually play in the beta, give your feedback, and anything they may have missed. As Stellaris is a big game, there's a lot of things that you could easily overlook, even if you've played it loads and loads. Whenever I've made guides, it's like, there's always a comment that's like, you forgot this one thing. I'm like, yep, I did. Cetus design goals and philosophy. We're not trying to recreate the economic level of 3.x in this branch. We're looking for where the baseline of the 4.x economy should be. We believe that this is at a level that is much lower than the 4.0 to 4.2 level, and that there are parts of Stellaris that haven't been an interesting challenge for quite a long time. There's not much incentive in doing a special project to pacify hostile space fauna, for instance. An early game fleet can casually erase them from existence. To be fair, I never do that one because I don't want to murder them, because it's easier to do the project because I don't build my fleets until later on. We wanted to reduce the number of ships in the game to both improve performance and to make the ships you have feel more valuable. 100% agree with that. Funny enough, I have a wishlist video coming, which was recorded before this, and that is one of the big things I talked about. If you have 20 full fleets moving around in a Doom stack, each individual battleship you may have is just another number. Yeah. In the 25 times all Crisis playthrough I did, I had like 200 million fleet power. I did not care. They were all battleships. They then talk about the popular mod Compact Armadas, which makes the Armadas cost 10 times more and they're 10 times stronger, which comes with improved performance. It did accomplish both of those goals, but we designed a system that we believe would better fit both early and late game. We came to the conclusion that as long as the changes were consistent across the entire playing field, the economy and ships did not absolutely necessitate equal power increases to achieve the desired results. Economic output and fleet power will be significantly lower than what you're used to, and some things that were previously trivial threats may now be a real obstacle. I am more than happy with that. And the vision that they're describing is something I've really talked about a lot. It becomes trivial by year 50, year 40. Like, the scaling you can get to is just insane. In earlier dev diaries, I mentioned that I experimented with a system where naval hulls would tier up into advanced hull types. This did reduce endgame ship count and made individual ships more impactful, but we found a few drawbacks with the experiment. The importance of tech was increased even more than it already was. What's the problem with that? And there were growing pains. Moments where converting fleets up to the next tier that we thought might be interesting were more annoying than fun. I agree. The amount of times upgrading your entire fleet when they're across the galaxy is so annoying. And yeah, tech would become way more important because you need those tiers for them to actually be good. So far, we've enjoyed the challenges posed by the following variant more: the Naval Changes. The tier's open beta is decoupling naval capacity from the Corvette standard TM. No more one naval cap equals one Corvette. Just like how in the POP rework, this gave us more granularity with jobs, this gave us the design space to do things like give frigates their own spot in the lineup, partway between corvettes and destroyers, and let us move bioships to their own scale. Oh, they're gonna have to separately balance both of those then, okay. Starting naval capacity has been increased to 40, and you'll still typically start with 3 corvettes, but they're taking more naval capacity than before. This does make it easier to maintain power projection, but building a massive fleet is a much larger undertaking, and individual fleets have a handful of each class of ship instead of an uncountable blob of overlapping polygons. Here's a spreadsheet excerpt that shows tentative naval capacity, hull, cost, and upkeep for various ships. Cost, and especially upkeep, are notably higher than before. Frigates are now faster, moving at destroyer speed instead of cruiser, sturdier, get another Orc slot, and use destroyer-grade reactors instead of Corvette-grade. Titan perturbation beams and similar weapons deal collateral damage to entire fleets. This may be changed in future open beta updates, something like hitting 500 naval capacity worth of ships in the system instead, if it seems to incentivize fleet splitting too much. Let's break that up then. Frigates are going to be very unique, and they firmly have cemented themselves into their own ship type rather than being a weird Corvette-destroyer hybrid. Costs massively inflated. We're going to look at the table now. Frigates could be really OP as well, by the way, because they're faster, more HP, more Orc slot, and a better reactor. That's pretty good. And finally, we're getting some sort of area damage with the Titan beams, which are going to be really good against Corvette spams, which kind of a really good early game, they drop off, and then a really good late game because everyone has massive weapons. I wonder if the X slots on battleships will also deal collateral. Probably not, but it'll be interesting. Okay, so you can see here, the Corvette naval capacity is 5. Obviously, it was 1 before, so it's times by 5. But interestingly, Corvettes still have 200 hull. However, we jump to frigates, which are now at 8 naval capacity instead of the base 1, they have 200 more base hull. Destroyers are double in their hull, cruisers have 600 more, battleships have 1,800 more, Titans have 5,000 more, then the Colossus and Juggernaut have more. So the mid-range ships have had a hull increase. The cost of these ships have also changed with the section alloys. Corvettes are now 10 alloys more expensive, frigates are double, destroyers are double the cost, likewise cruisers, battleships, and the Titan. The Juggernaut remains the same. The upkeeps have also increased drastically, quite literally everything, including all the bioships. They just cost more, so you're going to have less of them. However, they will be a little bit stronger, but it's not exactly a one-to-one double cost for double strength. System designer Grunts at Work will warn that based on his experience playing Vicky, leaving the Corvette standard would lead to inflation. Juggernauts also now have 10 shipyards, and the logistics reducing aura they already have. So even more Juggernaut buffs. Thank you. We then get a look at all the components. Harbingers have an unusual utility slot progression, but we're currently okay with that. Essentially, we are sticking to a lot of what we have, the shield scaling and the armor scaling. However, the hit points they give are going to be increased slightly, with the regen basically staying the same or nerfed when looking at it. Let's take example hyper shields. On small, they currently give 220 shield hit points, but in the new system, they're going to give 260 shields. They'll give 1.4 daily regen on the current patch, but on this update, it's going to give 1.3 regen. The key here is every single shield is giving shield hardening. So bypass meta might be dying. Here's some more numbers for you to go through. Yes, that shield hardening going to be dangerous. Something I just realized, the buffs to the smalls are nowhere near the buffs to the mediums and larges. For example, if we look at hyper shields again, in the current version, we're getting 550 shield hit points, but in the new one, we'd get 780. If you look at large, we only get 1,320. In the new changes, we'll get 2,340. This is really incentivizing to build big, strong ships, as the buffs to those are way more. Remember, the shield hardening is a percentage too, so the more you have, the better. And let's have a look at the armor. Let's take the tier 4 Durasteel armor. Currently, at small is giving 220, medium 550, and large 1,320. In the proposed changes, you're actually getting less armor if you have a small component. However, medium is buffed by 65, and the large buffed by 525. This is a very interesting change, and yeah, smaller ships are just going to perform probably worse. They also, just like the shields, give a percentage of armor hardening the more the tiers go on, with you having 0 armor hardening with tier 1. This is going to really slow down bypass weapons, and I'm not sure if it's per component. I imagine it is. So if you have a cruiser with 8 neutronium armors, is that 40% armor hardening? I think it might be. So yeah, bypass is going to crumble, my friends. Guess I'll have to make another ship guide when we figure out the meta. There's also changes to crystal plating. The caption for this is these are probably completely overpowered, but we'll see. There are tier 2 and tier 4. They give some hull, which has always been what it does, but they also give flat damage reduction. 1, 2, and 4 for small, medium, and large on tier 2, and then 2, 4, and 8. That is insane. Crystal Forge on a battleship, you got 6 of them. 6 larges would give you 48% flat damage reduction. Wow. Yeah, that's probably OP. Torpedoes have been rebalanced around these numbers and require more power, compensated on frigates by their larger reactors. So yeah, frigates are probably going to be really good if you're incentivized to build big ships. It's going to be a changed rock, paper, scissors scenario. That's it for ships, but we're now on to economic changes. Economically, the 4.3 Cetus Open Beta aims to deflate non-linear growth and push the game towards flatter, more controlled economies. Goals of these changes were to make more modifiers matter, decrease the outliers, and create a leaner, more deliberate economic landscape. Oh my gosh. This is exactly what we need. There are just some things that are just better because they scale. Oh, it does my head in. But yes, that is going to be really good. Some aspects of gameplay were too easy to circumvent or pin at maximum values, such as empire size, happiness, and stability. While other systems such as unemployment were generally unenjoyable and did not add value to the game, many modifiers have returned to provide smaller, more focused bonuses or penalties. And during our economic pass, we tended to favor job efficiency over raw output. Okay, this is very good. This means it's going to be hard to get flat 0 empire size, which is a lot of what builds abuse, as well as happiness and stability, just pinning it at the maximum 100%, because you just get amenities for being unemployed. It sounds like unemployment might be getting removed and they just have civilians only. They're not enjoyable, and there will basically be no output modifiers and just job efficiency, which I like. Having them both was a bit confusing sometimes and led to OP stuff, because you could get the job efficiency and then buff that with the output. There have been some significant changes to how automation and Fallen Empire buildings function. They're now job specific, and Fallen Empire buildings are now the only source of specialist job automation. What does that mean? Essentially, the automation will only work on a specific job on your planet, and we will never be able to buff specialists unless you get Fallen Empire buildings, which is good. Automation, it was quite OP because you didn't need pops for them, which meant you just colonize a bunch of planets, habitats. Partial passes have been done on the Origins and Ascensions, but I expect that we'll be tweaking things and continue passes for the next couple of months. They've just been focused on Knights of the Toxic God. What are they looking for? We'd like feedback on what you think of these changes. Where have we gone too hard? What do you like? What have we missed? And so on. As I mentioned, this is still an early build, and we'll be iterating on it until it releases. And if and when you find something that's grossly out of line with the rest of the game balance, let us know so we make sure it's looked at. Is the challenge level appropriate? Are there more sliders that we should add to the Galaxy generation, or changes we should make to the base game difficulties? Please add Galactic Community slider, thank you. And now we have all of the notes in a patch setting. This is going to be good. There are some changes in the branch that are not explicitly listed here and are covered by general notes, like many sources of unit production have been reduced. It would be nice to get them all, but yeah. Balance. Dimensional fleet astral action has been adjusted to reduce general fleet sizes. Thank you for remembering that this time. Sum is a number of escorts equal to the number of astral rifts you have explored, and cruisers equal to half that number rounded down. That's nice. It makes astral rifts worth going for like a strategy for that. That'll be fun video idea. Maximize the rifts to get a massive dimensional fleet. Ship naval capacity uses have been changed significantly. We have covered this, but most ships, including Space Fauna and event ships in general, have 5 times the naval capacity they used to. And nanite swarmers are now size 1, so you can't just spam infinite ships. To do, Teeth of the Eater will likely take naval capacity when you are not at war. That sounds quite good because they do want to be at war. Increase base and modified vivarium capacity to work with new numbers. Galactic Nemesis marauding ships have 20% less naval capacity usage than they currently normally would. I like that. They've got the unique mechanic of building them for minerals, but they also have less usage. We have collateral damage for Titan perturbation beams and ancient ruination glare, so no X-slots. Armor and shields have been rebalanced, and now higher tiers also add a small amount of armor hardening or shield hardening as appropriate. Tier -1%. Higher tier ship and components costs and upkeep have generally been increased, and crystal hull plating now gives flat damage reduction. Frigates are faster, sturdier, and move at destroyer speed instead of cruiser, and have +1 utility and orc slot and use destroyer size reactors. We have gone over that. Base hull for ships have been adjusted. Again, we've looked at that. The multiplicative damage bonus torpedoes and torpedo-like weapons gain has been reduced to 20% of their former values because ship sizes are 5 times larger. So there's effectively no change. Cool. The maximum bonus has been increased. Okay, so the bonus of that damage has been scaled up too because there was a cap. Many sources of empire size modifiers have been reduced. RIP. The base amount of empire size generated by pops has been halved. Pops have been halved? I guess we don't know what's been reduced, so this might still be a nerf because the way you reduce them, you can know where to get them down. Especially things that reduce empire size from pops down to 0. I don't know what that means there. The base amount of empire size generated by colonies have increased to 20. That's doubled them, so colonies are a bigger drain on empire size. Effects and modifiers that granted jobs per pops has been replaced with static job numbers. Rest in peace, the scaling. After a review of unemployment mechanics, we felt that they did not add significantly to the game. All unemployed pops now demote to civilians or maintenance drones as appropriate at the end of the month. Okay, that also helps with lag, my friends. Remove the rising unemployment event chain. Oh, it is so annoying in 4.0. And living standards has been adjusted. All living standards now include information for slaves, just in case you find some way to get them unusual and unexpected standards like utopian abundance. Thank you for putting fail-safes for the game-breaking people. Happiness penalties on lower living standards now apply to civilians. Okay, so that's a nerf to civilians, as you will get happiness penalties. And remove demotion time bonuses as they're no longer relevant. I wonder if they'll add anything to that because some civics and traits and other buffs, that was like a nice, not nice benefit, but like there was that tradition. I wonder if they've replaced with anything. Reduced most job-based sources of research. Huh? No. My tech. But they've also reduced tech costs by half. This is an indirect buff to space-based deposits, and many buildings and modifiers that increase job output have been reduced. Okay, so tech's been not nerfed. Even though it looks like they've been nerfed because they're reducing it from the output, tech costs are half. That means anywhere you get tech, not from jobs, is buffed. So let's think specimens, relics, factions, if you have crowdsourcing, and space deposits. So there might be a matter where you find a star and put a Dyson swarm on it. Maybe not, but who knows. Most stability bonuses have been reduced to 1/2 to 1/3 of their previous values. The intention of this change is to make stability generally more important and harder to pin at 100. Make things like +1 or 2 stability effects more valuable. I like that change. It was a bit too easy to get 100% stability in 4.0. Most job efficiency modifiers have been reduced. Just that's the flat note. Fair enough. Some production modifiers have been turned into job efficiency modifiers, so there might be some production modifiers still. Graphics have been changed. Authoritarian worker production bonus is now worker job efficiency. Specialist production bonus is now specialist job efficiency. And pacifist reduce empire size from pops bonus to -10 to -20%. What was it before? It was 15%, 30%. So a 5 and 10% reduction. Remember, pops have had their pop empire size reduced anyway. Many sources of unit production has been reduced. No. Bubbles and other misnamed variants no longer use naval capacity. Okay, bubbles is meta. Bubbles is meta. Many traits that reduce housing usage has been rebalanced. Rest in peace, Shell. Increase base naval capacity to 40 and rebalance naval capacity tax. Increase the power usage of torpedoes and energy torpedoes on standard ships. Colony designations now universally add job efficiency to appropriate jobs. That means the tech world will no longer reduce upkeep and give output. Planetary Ascension now increases the designation effect by 10% per tier instead of 25%. That's a huge nerf. And Planetary Ascension, I don't even think was amazing. Like, it helped scale later on, but they've nerfed that a lot. Obsessional Directive now grants plus 15% artisan drone job efficiency and increased consumer goods storage. Oh, nice. Just a buff to that Civic. After I've done my playthrough on it. The commodities constellation situation now grants artisan job efficiency and adds Unity production to artisans instead of all Unity. Okay, a little rebalance on that bit too, instead of just a flat 10% output to Unity or whatever it was. Ascension situations now progress slower. There's exceptions, that's synthetic fertility and end bringers. TikTok. That's essentially to stop us rushing towards the ascension paths because they're OP, and as well as the Unity nerfs before. Resettlement costs are now the same across all strata. Since the motion is now immediate at the end of the month, this prevents an undesired element of micromanagement where you would want to fire any pops you want to resell. Yeah, just a nice quality of life there. There's no point in gamifying it. Anchorages now give plus 5 naval capacity and plus an extra 3 with Naval Logistics Office. That's big. I believe it's only plus 2 at the minute, and then plus 4 with a office. Remember, ships cost more naval capacity anyway. Special planetary deposits are now 4 times more common. Okay, so they want us to not use industrial zones to build exotic resources, strategic resources. I'm down with that. It means our food and mineral and energy productions might be more strategic resource based. Subterranean contact zone now provides job spots for traders or logistic drones. Removed inappropriate researcher jobs from planetary features which provided them. Made some unique planetary features more interesting. No idea what that means. Subsea edicts now grant plus 20% or 10% efficiency and 0.5% trade upkeep. So that's, of course, capacity subsidies, which gave plus 50% technician output for 0.5 upkeep. Are they only going to give 20% now? Or 10 with an upkeep? Oh dear. Those edicts again nerfed then. By a lot. Readjusted bonuses from Genesis Guide Civics. Oh no, they're nerfing that too. I feel like this is all my fault. A lot of stuff I use and abuse is in this. They've halved the modifiers from the Genesis Reserve, added an on action to remove the preserves if you reform your government. Okay, that's nice. Reduce rewards from colonizing from 500 unity and 25 influence to 250 unity and 5 influence. Oh, half the unity and quartered the influence. Reduce rewards from uplifting from 1000 unity to 250 and 5 influence. So some of the influence comes back, but that is a quarter unity nerf there. Ensure that a Genesis preserve is created only if one does not already exist. Unity from jobs, the modifier from the Genesis monument is decreased to 10% if you don't have the Civic. Fair enough. Updated various checks to check for all variants of the Civic instead of just the version for regular individualistic empires, and set the strata for the newly spawned pre-sapients to actually be pre-sapient instead of no category. Okay. Bit of bug fixes to that. Oh my gosh, I'm scrolling and there's so much more. Adjusted some more upkeep reduction on buildings to match the model. More strategic resource production has been moved to the strategic resource producing district specializations. That's a tongue twister. And significantly reduce the amount given for free by the strategic resource deposits without the specialization. I don't know what that means. I think that's the zones that you can specifically set to produce. That's exactly what it is. Okay, so if you have a planet and you want to change the zone into, instead of just producing energy to produce the rare resources, you need to do that instead of just relying on the free strategic resources. Like some of the modifiers would be plus 0.2 exotic gases per mineral job. Instead, you're going to need to switch to get more of that benefit. Tank bound production overseas now generate 2 engineering research instead of Unity. Oh, that was a nice thing about them, the Unity. And they grant plus 2% efficiency and 200 amenities. They're only granted by urban districts or as clerk swaps. Big nerf to tank bound. Automation building changes. Assembly patterns and construction templates are now tier 2 and tier 4. I don't know what they were before. Assembly patterns was tier 1. Construction templates was tier 3. So yeah, a nerf to automation there. Automation builders are now job specific and no longer increase their upkeep based on district count. Automated worker or simple drone jobs increase their upkeep by 4 per jobs. So that could mean they work the jobs now instead of just the district stuff, which is kind of nice too. Complex drones are 8 energy per 100 jobs. And elite jobs are 12 per 100. Yeah, big nerf there. Full Empire buildings. They're now planet limit 1 and automate 25 or 50% of relevant specialist jobs, or 75 to 100% of relevant worker jobs. So they're quite good there for that, but yeah. There's some exceptions. The replicator now produces 10 of each strategic resource, and the dimensional fabricator now produces 25% of each strategic resource and 5 of each rare. Skydome, and some of the buildings remain the same, and costs, upkeep, and build times have been adjusted. Fallen Empires now gain 100% automated workforce efficiency, and Awakened Empires gain an additional 500% automated workforce efficiency. Oh gosh, they are just buffing the Fallen Empires. It's nice though, because it's like the Fallen Empires aren't doing any of the work because they've forgotten how to. And the 500% when they awaken, they're going to be scary now, especially with all the nerfs to us. Soldiers are now specialists with 1 alloy upkeep. Oh my words. Yeah, naval capacity has been ruined there. It's going to cost you. Polytechnic mentors now grant miners engineering research. The bonuses they grant have been reduced to 0.1. Naval capacity. All the values have been adjusted. Anchorages now have trade upkeep equal to the naval capacity they're providing. Oh, they came for us. The reckoning has come for us. That just makes it more expensive to build your fleet, so it will slow you down. The nanocorpses deposit now yields alloys, not rare crystals. I'm going to skip through some of these until I find some interesting stuff, like anglers no longer produce additional food. Anglers and pill divers are now swapped on wet worlds regardless of district specialization. Factions have 50% reduced output during the first 10 years of the game, when factions normally don't exist. Parliamentary, no. Parliamentary systems, no. Ah, how could they do it? I like that nerf though. It nerfs it, but doesn't nerf anyone who's not doing it, so factions will still give you unity 10 years after. Parliamentary systems now grant 20% faction output, but has a plus 50% disapproval for unmet demands, so it's going to be harder to manage them. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. Increased base unity production of empires from 5 to 10. Tell you what, that buffs machines a lot, because machines base unity always sucks. Civics that provide politician job swaps now provide additional jobs. Overtune Origin no longer has access to genetic ascension. They've been watching my videos and making notes. Oh no. The bonus pop growth and amenities provided by genomic research jobs from selecting cloning traditions and choices during biomorphosis have been moved to the genomic research facility building. The amount of amenities granted has also been increased. I don't understand that. Provided by the... So it's no longer given by the jobs worked, but to the building? Is that correct? So that's kind of a buff there. All council positions have been rebalanced to give flat resources jobs. All of them. All of them. Oh no. Dark Consortium Civic now has a beefier dark mat deposit on start game. Hey, that's nice. Dark Consortium's nice. A massive pass on edicts. Many now affect efficiency. Knights are now considered soldiers instead of bureaucrats and researchers. Ah, Knights, the Toxic God's dead. They also have an ally upkeep as soldiers too, don't they? Yeah. Strong, very strong, and weak traits now also affect soldier efficiency. Okay, more naval capacity there. And you can buff your knights with strong. Very strong. Battlefields now get a bonus to soldier efficiency. Disruptors now start with 50% shield and armor bypass at tier 1, which increases to 8% of set. No. Which increased to 80% at psionic disruptors. They now also deal 25% damage against shields. What? Increased unity, production, and consumer goods upkeep of politicians. Commander starting level civics. Swapped commander XP gain for commander upkeep reduction on distinguished admiralty. Added consumer good upkeep reduction to warbots and strengths of legion. So I think those are buffs. It depends. It's kind of a rebalance. Machine capital buildings, tier 2 or higher, now also add coordinator jobs. Ooh, machine buffs. They get some free unity jobs, which is always hard to get as robots. And that kind of helps Rogue Servitor too, because you can't build unity jobs, you have to rely on the buy trophies. Reduce the power of the council positions for chosen civics. The corporate authority now has +1 envoy instead of +1 external leader pool. Yeah, I do care about external leader pool. Cluster capacity. Virtuality now gives 75% job efficiency and -10% per colony. It was 175% with -25%. Oh, they've nerfed it by 100%. Holy moly. I guess it's a bit different because we would have 3 to 4 colonies, so we were having +100%. But even with that now, we're only getting +35% if you had 3 to 4. Cybernetic traits no longer have an energy upkeep. Okay, let's just buff them. It's the age of machines and cybernetics, I swear. That's all I'm seeing here. Cybernetic and limited cybernetic traits now swap half of the base food for energy upkeep. Isn't that even better? Like, you're just not even paying the food? Like, you're paying less food, some energy. Media Conglomerate now gives early access to factions, but replaces faction unity output with trade output. Ooh, that's cool. You will have reduced for the first 10 years, though. Rebalance many species traits. Oh, yes. Erudite. Nerfed by 10% on research and job efficiency. Rationale, number too big. Fertile. Reduced pop growth by 10%. Background, 8% reduced. Existential, idle parity. Reduced by 10%. Numistic administration, 8%. Job, oh, Dark matter engines, 20% reduced. Okay, robots got a little bit hit there. The upkeep per 100 pops also increased by 0.01. Rationals for all of these, by the way, is number too big, and the cost needs to matter more. Living metal augmentators, upkeep gone up to 0.03. Biomantic assembly, replicator efficiencies gone down by 30%. Matrix trading reduced by 30%. And the upkeep's gone up by 0.01. Mopower tools, upkeep also gone up by 0.01. Exotic fuel consumption, job efficiency goes to specialist and complex drone efficiency. And the upkeep's increased by 0.01. Pop growth still exists on that though. That's the right trait I'm thinking about. Volatile mote reactor. Habitability has changed to 10% worker and menial drone efficiency. And the upkeep's being increased by 0.03 to 0.05. And red crystal exterior, 20% materialist job efficiency has gone to 30% habitability. So it's just changed what these ones were. We've got the specialist and complex, worker, menial, and habitability. That's also been increased to 0.05, the same as the other two. The archaeological project and districts on Ecomelopolis now cost alloys instead of minerals. Is it the same amount of alloys? What? Partial pass done for some advanced authorities. These will continue in future open beta drops. Like Directal, Cybervision now grants a flat cyborg job efficiency bonus and scaling stability for enforcers. Psychological transcendency now give +2 unity per 100 politicians instead of +3 per 100 elite. And Directal, Cybervision, and harmonious submission now give governing ethic attraction instead of authority and ethics attraction. Reduced difficulty based scaling on the Grey Tempest and Khan. Roaming Tempest fleets may not always have a mothership on lower difficulties. Okay, so they've actually reduced how strong the Tempest and Khan are because we're going to have like 5 ships by the time they spawn. There's some bug fixes, AI changes. That's actually a nice AI change. AI empires will now prefer to have 3 or fewer underdeveloped colonies before colonizing the next one. So they're not going to spam them out and you have to take them all. That is the patch notes. I've been recording for an hour. Oh no. We just put the first part of the 4.3 Cetus open beta branch up on Steam as Cetus open beta. We plan to update this branch again next week. They're updating that with even more stuff? Oh dear. To access the branch, you need to go to your Steam library, right click the game, and then select properties from there, choose the betas tab, and in the beta participation drop down menu, select the Cetus open beta branch. What's next? Next week's dev diary will feature any updates we make to the beta next week and will be our end of year review before the winter holidays. I am going to be away for that one, so enjoy those changes. Click here to watch the video YouTube's recommending you, and I'll see you in that one.